Netflix thought they were finally done with Meghan Markle. After 2 underwhelming seasons of With Love, Meghan that drained millions and barely moved the ratings needle, the plan was simple. Finish the reshoots, patch together season 2, cut the marketing budget, and quietly send the show out to die. Internally, everyone was ready to close the book. Then the cleanup began, including Meghan's personal Netflix office, a perk usually reserved for top showrunners. That's when IT stumbled on something unexpected, a trove of neatly labeled audio files. They weren't production notes or voiceovers. They were hours of raw, unfiltered rants, Meghan's so-called private diary. Only it wasn't private. These recordings targeted some of the most powerful people in Hollywood, including Netflix co-CEOs Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters. One file titled Podcast Cut, Greg accused Peters of sexism, creative sabotage, and dismissing her vision. Meghan didn't sound like she was venting. She sounded like she was rehearsing. Every recording had a clear intro and outro, ready to drop into a finished podcast. Even more alarming, many were tagged with working titles and timestamps for a 2026 launch. The mood shifted from weary tolerance to outright fury. Among the vault was a rant about how scenes with Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom had been cut from season 2. Moments Meghan claimed would have humiliated Donald Trump and made a strong progressive statement. She accused Netflix of bowing to pressure and gutting her message. Another recording took direct aim at Sarandos, calling him two-faced and alleging he'd erased her political cameos while secretly distancing the company from her. These weren't whispered gripes. They were explosive monologues clearly meant for public release after her contract ended. The real legal red flag? She'd stored both digital and physical copies on company property. Once IT saw the files labeled for release, Netflix went into crisis mode. Emergency legal meetings were called. Sarandos ordered a review of every piece of content Meghan had worked on. What was once a quiet split now looked like the opening shots of a war. Meghan, unfazed, doubled down. She was banking on the recordings to fuel a viral podcast, her next big act. Like her previous viral stunts, she knew controversy sells. Inside Netflix, panic spread. Lawyers combed through contracts, PR teams drafted damage control scenarios, and editors re-examined season 2 for hidden landmines. Old production emails revealed constant clashes between Meghan and the writing team, especially over political cameos. Directors pushed back, arguing the show's light romantic tone didn't suit such overt political inserts. Meghan saw it differently, accusing colleagues of silencing her voice and resenting her as a woman of color in the industry. By the final weeks, the production was chaotic, with editors who'd never met her piecing together the series. The most alarming discovery was how strategic she'd been. Every file had a title like Netflix Boys Club, They Cut My Power, or Fake Feminist. This wasn't random venting, it was an organized campaign. Her plan was to ride the publicity wave from season 2's release, then drop her podcast weeks later to maximize impact. Quietly, she'd begun teasing it on private Instagram stories, blurred audio files, shots of recording booths, captions like, "The truth always comes out." To her followers, it was cryptic. To Netflix, it was a threat. She pitched the podcast, tentatively titled Hollywood Unmasked, as an exposé on industry hypocrisy. Smaller outlets and niche podcast platforms showed interest, eager for the scoop. While major distributors hesitated, fearing legal trouble, Meghan had more than enough willing partners to make it happen. Netflix, meanwhile, locked down. Staff were told not to speak her name. Her project was archived, and all press went through legal. But they knew they couldn't actually stop her. She had backups on encrypted drives and cloud storage. Any lawsuit would only make her louder, framing herself as the silenced truth-teller fighting corrupt power. For her fans, that image still resonated. Each teaser was just vague enough to spark speculation. Insiders admitted the partnership had been rocky from day one, but now the split was emotional and irreversible. When With Love, Meghan Season 2 finally dropped, it was quiet. No press. Tour. No social media push. 13 days later, her podcast trailer appeared online. 1 minute and 42 seconds of dramatic music, raw audio clips, and one closing line. They wanted me quiet. I recorded everything. And just like that, the real battle began.